Hi, and welcome to the Graduate Database class. My name is Dr. Gary Boetticher. I am the instructor for the class, and I'm glad you've taken the time to sign up for this class, and I hope you'll learn a lot. Well, let's get right into it. First thing I want to talk about is the course syllabus here. So if you go to this link, what I have over here in my hand, and bring that web page up, I highly recommend that you print out the page because I want to go over that so you know what you're getting yourself involved in for this class. Now, a couple things I wanted to point out here, one of which is if you look at the syllabus here, which I assume you now have in front of you, you'll notice a couple things. First of all, my name is Dr. Gary Boetticher, and pretend the O is not there. That seems to work quite well. My office is located on the first floor of the Delta building, or occurred during the evening, and the door is locked. I suggest you call my number or call the extension, and I'll open the door to let you in. My office hours are stated there, so I won't go any further details. Also, what I want you to notice is that right here we have a teaching assistant. I don't know who that'll be at this point during the semester, but he or she will be available in the lab to answer questions. Usually they have 7 to 14 contact hours, and that'll be listed as we progress into the semester here. As you scroll further down, you see a link to something called WebCT. Now, WebCT is a tool we'll be using in this class for taking quizzes, and we'll go over that here in a little bit later in one of the future videos. And you also see the textbook for this class. For this class, we'll be using the El Masri textbook version 5.0. Please make sure you have the latest version. Now, as we scroll down here, what I want you to notice there is the course objectives. And I would describe the class as two focuses that we will have. In the beginning of the first half of the class, we'll be talking about databases, some database design issues from the perspective of a database programmer. Now, in the second half of the class, we will be looking at databases from the perspective of a database administrator. There's really two different issues here, and as we get into it, I think it'll become a lot clearer as to the difference between one and the difference between the other. Now, as you see here, this class assumes that you've had an undergraduate database class, either at UHCL or some other university, and I do make some assumptions in terms of what you know. If you've not had that class, I highly recommend that you drop this class and enroll in one of those other classes, undergraduate classes. Second thing is in terms of work expectations. Some graduate classes you can put in maybe 3 hours a week. This class is quite demanding, and it requires about 15 to 20 hours per week. Now, one of the reasons I do that is because one of my goals is to help you succeed not only in this class, in the computer science program, but also in your career. And now, one of the other things that I want to point out there as we scroll down, you see the course in terms of activities. A little bit different this semester in terms of how I've taught it before. I've taught this about 20 times before, and a couple differences are: one, there'll be homework assignments as there were in previous semesters. Pay very careful attention to the participation. If you click on the participation link, it'll give you a lot of details. Basically, a student who's very active, takes initiative, asks a lot of questions, seems to be really focused on learning, not just getting an A in the class, that will be rewarded in this class. Now, as you can obviously see, there are a lot of videos that I'll be making in conjunction with this class. And so one of the goals is that you watch the videos, you go over the notes while watching the videos, and then when we convene in the classroom, we'll go over any questions you might have, let's say for the first hour or so. Then for the second half of the class, it's more or less going to be like a lab where we might do exercise type problems. We might go to lab to do something either in Oracle database or some other database, open source database. So I'm trying to add a lot of hands-on experience and make the class a very enriching experience. Now, let's take a look here. You scroll down and take a look at the syllabus, and we'll look at the first week here. Now, a couple things I want to bring to your attention. One of which, if you see the class has a lot of details in terms of reading materials. Sometimes it says read a chapter, which refers to the textbook. Sometimes you see read the notes, which I say Unit 1, Unit 2, so chapters, book, units of the notes. And there are also a set of quizzes that you will need to pay attention to. Now the first quiz you'll take is the syllabus quiz. This will get you, and you'll be using this software tool called WebCT. Now the idea of the syllabus quiz is to get you comfortable with WebCT. You can take the syllabus quiz as many times as you like, and the idea is you take it until you get a perfect score. Now you cannot take any other quiz until you get a perfect score on the syllabus quiz, but you can take it as many times as you like. There's no time pressure, and once you get comfortable with how WebCT works in terms of syllabus quiz, then you can move on to the other quizzes. Now the other quizzes are a little bit different than the syllabus quiz. The other quizzes, a couple differences. One, you have a hard deadline. So let's say next week we're going to be talking about Chapter 3 of the notes. Well, what you'll have to do is read Chapter 3 of the notes, watch the video, then when you're comfortable, you take the quiz. And you will be taking the quiz prior to the actual class meeting. And the reason is to make you aware of that you know what you don't know. And when you know what you don't know, you can come to class and ask questions like, could you please clarify this or that? Okay, so the quizzes are only worth about 5% of your total grade, and I hope you'll use this as a tool to help you get feedback in terms of what you know and don't know. Secondly, you can only take the quiz one time, and you must be very aware of the deadline. Now, this is important to be aware of these deadlines because when you take the midterm exam or final exam, you might have only an hour, hour and a half, so you have to learn to kind of speed up your processing there. That's why I think these deadlines are important to pay attention to. Now, if you would go down to the class right before the midterm, you'll see something like study for the midterm, and there's a description where you can actually submit questions to the midterm. Now, my experience is when I was a student, I tried to make up questions that I thought, what would the teacher ask if I were the teacher? So what I want you to do is think about what questions you would ask if you were teaching this class, and then as you make up these questions, you can email them to me or post them on the discussion board of WebCT, and if I think they're reasonable questions, there's a very good chance that you'll see those questions again on the midterm. Now, it's not a requirement, it's an invitation. So if you're too busy with other things and you don't have a chance to make questions, so be it. Let's scroll to the bottom page where you see things called Other Policies. And a couple things I want to point out there. You can read most of those things. One, I pay very careful attention to deadlines. Second thing is there's no makeup on the WebCT quizzes. And so another thing I want to mention is about cell phones. Now, a lot of people I know do have cell phones, and one of the things I think is to pay attention to cell phone etiquette. So when you come
Wait, hang on, get an email. Hang on a second. Hey girl, can I hit you back?
That is extremely rude. Will you turn that thing off or I'm going to...
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you. If you scroll down near the bottom, one is pay attention to your spelling and grammar. You only get one chance to make a first impression, so make sure you do a good one. Anyway, let's stop here and move on to the next video. Thanks.